I don't know, how many people here use mobile payments as a payment mechanism at the moment? 3? I'm sure there's more, but yeah. How do we move the slides on? Sorry. Okay. I guess the interesting thing about mobile payments is it's very ubiquitous. I mean, only a certain number of people have a credit card. Pretty much everybody's got a mobile phone. So it's a relatively straightforward way for people to buy social applications. And I guess if you look at how PayPal has developed its business, it's looked to use the email address as a payment token, and then use that as a route to develop a wide range of payment options for the user. So in Mobile Cash, I guess our objective is really to use the mobile phone number, or the cell phone number if you're American, as the payment token. Basically, it enables a unique identification of the user, and it also enables not only at the moment the user to be able to place transactions back onto their mobile bill via various payment mechanisms such as premium SMS, schemes such as Pay for It, or direct operator connections. But also, potentially, the payment token could be used for placing transactions onto other payment instruments. So using the mobile phone as an interface back into a credit card, back into PayPal as a payment instrument. I won't bore you with the market statistics. I think you guys probably know where the growth areas are, but certainly there are kind of 3 phases to this marketplace. The first phase we're in at the moment is the phase around digital goods and services. This is the area I guess most people here are interested in. Gaming is the next developing phase of the marketplace, casual gaming, browser-based gaming. I guess what's not shown on here is the whole area of the purchase of physical goods and the linkage between physical goods and digital goods. It's interesting in the way that some of the customers use payments as a mechanism. One of the things you might be aware about mobile is that the operator takes quite a large share of the transaction, and that's seen as a barrier to lots of game developers or application developments in terms of why they should use it. But the thing to remember about mobile payments is actually it delivers a very high conversion rate. So whilst the conversion on, say, a credit card might be 4% when you reach the payment page, the conversion rate for mobile applications is typically 40%. Mobile payments are typically 40% plus. So whilst you might be giving a greater share of the margin over to, say, the mobile operator, the resulting overall margin that you would generate is going to be a lot higher. So in terms of what we do at Mobile Cash, we actually offer a number of payment modes and options. So in some cases, we allow the application developer to pass over the carrier fees to the user and establish a higher price point for mobile. And that's good in some respects. It helps people to maximize and perhaps take a low-risk approach to mobile payments. It doesn't necessarily maximize revenue, but it helps in cases where the margin might be low for a particular application. What we also hear from some of our customers is the need for higher price points. Quite often in various European or other global marketplaces, the price points are set as tariffs by the mobile operator. And what we've seen over time is that the average price point of the application has grown over a period of the last 9 months. We've actually seen our average price point growing by about 50% during that period. And so it's very important to be able to tie mobile price points together and actually aggregate those price points to create higher price points for subscription services. And that's been a theme we've seen in the marketplace as well. Mobile seems to be popular. There's a number of use cases for mobile. It's bringing in new users who wouldn't be able to pay by another mechanism. Use cases around the immediacy of the transaction, the fact it doesn't take you 10 minutes to set up and pay by credit card. It's a popular payment mechanism amongst certain demographics. We're currently covered in a lot of marketplaces. I think now about 20 different marketplaces, and it's generally speaking, there's about 53 major global mobile marketplaces that are worth worrying about. The number 53 is Iraq. They're the top 53 which are covered by Merrill Lynch, and they're the ones which are typically the ones which are of particular interest to the marketplace. From our perspective, it's more important to do things correctly and follow the rules and regulations that exist in those marketplaces rather than just aim for coverage, because it's quite easy to get these services shut down if you don't actually launch them properly. I guess the most important thing about mobile payments, as I mentioned earlier, is the conversion rate. So whilst you might be giving a fair proportion of the transaction, maybe up to 50% of the transaction value to the carrier in certain marketplaces, the actual conversion rate is much higher. I mean, typically a minimum of around 40% when the user reaches the payment page. So in terms of the overall margin that you would achieve as a developer is much higher. Here, on average, we've done some research and estimated it's about 6 times higher using mobile as a payment mechanism in terms of the overall margin you'd create from a certain number of users compared with credit card. So I guess that's the major takeaway I'd like you to consider. Don't be put off by the high fees the carriers take. Think about the overall margin that you can generate from mobile payments and the ease of using that as a service. So that's it. So if you've got any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Can you explain why that percentage is quite so low?
I think I come from the mobile marketplace myself, and I think in many respects mobile payments has been an interesting topic, and it's been around for a long time. I guess there's 2 things that are really driving the marketplace at the moment. One is the fact that advertising isn't such a great model for online services anymore. And then from the carrier's perspective, from the mobile operator's perspective, whereas they might have been focused on their portal or their mobile off-portal services, they're now looking for revenue streams to come from other places, and payments has come back onto the agenda. So whilst the payment schemes within the carriers still take quite a high percentage of the transaction, the percentage taken by the carrier is beginning to decrease at the moment. And what we're seeing is certain carriers offering new direct APIs, which are actually offered at a much more economic basis for applications. So I'd foresee that 40%, which is high for some markets, in the UK it's not as high as that, will decrease over time. But it's typically that's the share taken by the carrier.
Are you saying that it's 40% because they can?
Sorry?
Are you saying it's 40% because they can rather than because that's what it is? Presumably it doesn't cost that much.
I can't speak for the mobile operator. I think that they do have a substantial cost in running their messaging infrastructure. I don't know how they allocate those costs, but I think it's becoming a more interesting area for the carriers, and they're looking to decrease those prices, and that's why it's an interesting time for mobile payments.
Did Mobile Cash take sorry, is anyone else going to answer? Did Mobile Cash take a percentage of that? About 60. About 40.
Yeah, I guess we do need to make money.
Yeah. So what percentage is it?
That would be a subject of commercial negotiation.
Right.
But it's a small part of that.
Just these 2 more questions.
Are you in any Facebook apps now I can go and check out?
Yeah, I mean, we work either directly with applications or via some of the aggregators like OfferPal and Super Rewards. So I think we're either directly or via channels, we're in about 70% of Facebook applications.